Right now we're going to install a boost gauge on the 335i. Got a cheap old $10 job because this is a budget build. Never going to forget that. And we got a gauge holder right there. I aim to put it on top of the steering wheel. And I got this little LED right here. Got this little LED right here to signal the meth pump being activated, because it's important to know if your meth pump is turning on. You need a better way of knowing than seeing your IATs drop. So I'm gonna wire this, I'm gonna tee this into the pump power line. So what I did was I took a drill bit that was slightly smaller than the base of this LED right here. Had it right here. So you just drill a small hole into the holder. Boom. And then thread it through. See? Fits perfectly. Of course, I'm going to epoxy it into place. So I got this water boiling right here, because I need to expand this line. I need to soften this line up a little so I can fit it onto the boost controller signal. Just dip it in there for a few seconds. See, it's nice and soft, slips over easily. When it cools down, it's going to harden it. So I'll turn off the stove. Just had a nice pork chop dinner. Find a good position for your boost gauge. You want it to be even and not mess with the rotation of the steering wheel either. See your bolt holes? Just drill a small starter hole into your steering column plastic, and then use a screwdriver to take them in. You see, what I did was I drilled one hole and I got one screw started in there, and I used it to position the point of the other hole. I scratched the start of the other hole using this screw right here, and then I just moved it off to the side and I drilled it in. So now we can get this other screw in to get our mount completed. You see it's starting to tense up, starting to actually get in there. And that's in. the boost gauge through there. We have to feed in this. We have to feed in this tubing and this wire through the face. Seems to be angled toward me a little bit, but that's alright. We don't need mom in the passenger seat seeing how much boost we're pushing. Alright, now this is a backlit gauge, so we're not done yet. We got this LED right here to signify the activation of the methanol pump, and since we got this LED backlit gauge right here also to power, they're going to share a common ground. So we take both black wires, we join them, and then we fasten them to a nut on the chassis somewhere, probably underneath the dashboard. And this LED for the methanol pump, we're going to wire it inline to the power source of the methanol pump, so it turns on whenever the methanol pump turns on. And we got this the LED for the gauge backlighting. We're going to wire that into the ignition source back there. I don't know much about the electronics of this car because it's extremely complicated, but I do know that the exhaust valve, which everybody ends up unplugging for the Golf T mod, we could use that as a source for the ignition. Alright, now that we got the mechanical boost gauge line fed through the firewall, I'm going to go fish it out, dip it in some boiling water, and then tee it into the stock blow-off valve line. Alright, bring me the pot. Got that on. It's really tough to get on, so it's definitely not going to go anywhere. Alright, so what we got here, we got the line going to the pump activation LED. You see how I tapped it in line with the pump power source? And I really don't know where else to get the ignition source, so I got the ignition source, which I use for the methanol kit installation, the exhaust valve. You see how I teed it in right there? Got both lines going to the front along with the methanol, the pressure switch going to the engine bay. Now I did run low on some couplers. I haven't put the car back together, but we'll see if this works. Yep, it works. Feels good. Yep. Awesome.